Cet acteur, vous le connaissez forcément, vous l'avez vu dans...
When I was naked, it took 8 hours. When I just had my face and my hands, it took 6 hours. Yeah, that was more than in Pirates of the Caribbean. But it was the same thing. I had, if you look at the character, you see that the eyes are my eyes, the nose and the mouth is my. It's sort of I'm working within that huge body, but I have to come through. The limitations of the physicality has to be believable. That means that you had some limitations because you were so big, you know, so you move like slower. But if it was a wire there because you should hang up and fly and stuff, you couldn't play the wire, but you could play the body. You don't care about the psychology of the character or the history of the character. You just want to make a strong impression that is so strong that you don't need many scenes just to cast a shadow over the entire film. It was great fun because he's such a good actor, and you find him and you play with him, and it's you don't play evil, but it becomes evil, and that's wonderful. And you see him like a snake is coming in there. I'm very proud of him.
I've got a full schedule. I'm very busy.
This boy is incredible. I've never seen anything like him.
What makes him so incredible, Jerry?
There was a lot of fun things. We were having a great time, and Robin Williams was, of course, hilarious all the time. We sometimes made jokes during the take. He could improvise. He could become someone else during the take. I mean, he didn't care if the camera was rolling. It was just sort of, he had to get out this idea he had out of his system. I never feel like mentoring. I mean, I always feel like I'm collaborating, because I can't tell anybody how to do something. They got to discover it themselves, and it has to be close to themselves and their originality. But I can have fun with them, and I can sort of mentor them in the way you behave on a set, which is also important. I want the set to be a nice place where you feel safe, and I can help making them feel safe.
Dune.
You look good, Jack.
When you create the makeup, you make sure that you have nothing that sort of limits your acting. So you make it very thin around the eyes, very thin around the mouth, and then you'll act as if it wasn't there. But not really, because you know what you look like. It's also fun to play with what you look like, you know. I mean, I was the only one on that ship that was real, that was really made up. It took me hours. But all the others came in and were CGI. They had gray pajamas and 5 dots, and the real thing does something to you. It was very heavy and wet, that coat I had, and it made me move differently. Everything play a role. Bouillabaisse, I don't know who came up with it. But I have a bouillabaisse in my face. That's what I have. I have got sea urchins and clams and stars and everything. I wanted to taste my face one day.
Hi. May I help you?
Sure, we're here for the wedding. I'm Bill Anderson.
When they called me and made the offer, I thought they were absolutely crazy. Asking me to be in a musical. I can't sing, I can't dance. I mean, it's stupid. And then I saw who the other actors were. It was, and I was, maybe it's not that stupid, because it was Colin Firth and Pierce Brosnan, and of course none of us could sing. The first time we met with Björn and Benny was in London, and we were dying of nervosity. We were so nervous, and we three met in a studio because we were going to record our singings, pre-record the singings, and none of us didn't know what we didn't know what to do. We came there like three school children, you know, and saw those mega stars of musicals. But they were very nice and very comforting, and they took care of us. What we were hired for was to be cute and funny and good looking. We just had to relax. I mean, I asked one question. I said to the director, "But this guy, where does he come from? What is his motivation for doing this thing?" And the director just looked at me and said, "You're just supposed to be cute." So I understood. We could relax. And the thing that was important with it was that we had to have fun.
Dr. Selvig, just keep him away from the bars. I will.
Where are we going?
To get a drink.
The Thor film was the first one. It was Kenneth Branagh who directed it, and I was more interested in working with Kenneth Branagh than with the superhero thing because I didn't quite understand it. We had a meeting and we sat and read, and I asked the head of Marvel, does it really make any money, those sort of superhero things? And everybody got quiet on the table. They thought I was an idiot, of course. They'd done the first Iron Man. I didn't know what it was. But it was a superheroes film with there was a lot of playing scenes, acting scenes with the other guys, and it was fun working with Thor, and it was lovely to work with Natalie Portman and Kate Dennings. So we had a lot of fun together.
We'll have better luck with a gun.
I'm sorry?
When we go hunting, the gun rather than a knife.
He wanted me to play that role, and I had a meeting with him, and I said, "Yeah, I'd like to play that role." And he said that, "You know, it's not going to be easy. This is not going to be an easy job. This because I take 40 takes of each scene." And I said, "Yeah, but if I can fuck up 39 then." I said, "So it's wonderful for me. I mean, because I like to do several takes. You can't be nervous as an actor because it blocks you. It sort of makes you tense. So I need some takes to get rid of that." So we got off on a very good foot together. It was a really cool role. It's probably the worst psychopath I've ever played. I mean, he's worse than Harkonnen, and he's very mild. The horrible scene that goes on for 15 minutes or something in the basement where I'm torturing Daniel Craig. He came up with the idea of playing Enya in it, and he put on Enya in the studio. And I said, "Yes, that's it. Enya, feel good." Yeah. Well, you gotta have fun. I said, we have a short life.
Go into that water. Because it must be done.
Making the characters serve that film, because we felt when we were doing it is important to do. So it had to be very well balanced in that way. He was a lovely character to play because he's strong and he's brutal, and his world is absolutely clear for him, and what is right and what is wrong and all that. But he changes and he matures through the story. HBO, when they did it, they thought it would be sort of a little, not very much watched thing, because it I thought it was too complicated for a broad audience. And as always, you don't underestimate the audience, because it was fantastic to see that it took off so well.
What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see.
Well, I was kind of a fan, but it was also that I also found the characters a little sort of papier-mâché. Now I got a script that was like Star Wars for grown-ups. It was more complicated and with real scenes and about like theater scenes almost. It had another urgency than the Star Wars. Or you couldn't relax as much when you see that as you see the others. And of course, it was fun for my kids that I finally got my own spaceship. Well, I thought if I managed to do it, it might be good. but when I read it, it was, I mean, there's really no reason for him to say all that. Psychologically reasoned, say it to this little traitor that he's talking to. It just comes out like a sort of like a Shakespeare monologue, but it was so well written, and it was a pleasure to do it. When I shot it, I didn't get it quite right, so I said again and again and again, and we did it 10 times, and then yeah, we got it. I wanted to do the sort of, I built it like it was an acceleration, an intensity that was going on and getting harder and harder and harder and harder to the last thing. But at the same time, you can't do it technically because you have to be alive. You have to be human when you do it. So it was a kind of balance. It's two things, because it has to be supporting, which means it has to fill its function in the film. When I'm doing supporting roles, I'm always aware of the function. So I study the script and I try to find out what is necessary for the film to help the film from my character. And then once I know that, I can do anything I want. But then it's, of course, it's for your own pleasure. It's good to have either a role that has an interesting psychology and that you create together with the other actors and good scenes. Or it's good to do a really iconic monster like this one, where you try to, you don't care about the psychology of the character or the history of the character. You just want to make a strong impression that is so strong that you don't need many scenes just to cast a shadow over the entire film.